What's up, everybody? Welcome to Podcast Now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to talk about Crimson Desert and the new gameplay that it just got, over 13 minutes, and I want to talk about a lot of good and then also some bad. I'm not here to just, only say positive things, and hey, if I see negative things, I'm going to call it out, right? I just want to be honest, and I think a lot of us here, that are with me on this channel and watching these videos, we're very excited for this game. I'm very excited for it, and I get more excited, really, with every month or every time we get a new trailer or gameplay, but it just got delayed again. So let's look at some of the positives and negatives, and you know what, let's maybe just start with the negatives, and then we'll kind of end the video in a more positive way. So one of the things I want to say is the dialogue. The first 2 minutes of this gameplay is talking, and look, you need talking. It's an open world game. There needs to be this lore, this background, these factions, all this stuff. Like, you got to explain that. A lot of that has to be verbally, right? Just generally how it's done. What I would say with the acting and the dialogue is I think the acting is actually pretty okay. I think it might kind of depend character to character, but overall definitely fine, maybe above average, whatever you want to say. So when you're listening to it, though, the pacing, I would say, is the really big issue. It's like a character will talk and they'll have one sentence, and then there's this kind of natural flow there should be between one sentence and the next. But then when that captain, that Barden or whatever his name is, when he gets like called on by another guy, the phrase is like, when the one guy talks, he'll talk. Then it'll be it's just this awkward pause, like I just did there. It's very weird. So I'm going to need to have that fixed or changed or something. And it appears at the end too, right after the boss fight happens and you're talking to those knights. Just some of the, literally like the fluidity of talking is very, very off in this game. So that's the one thing. Number two, what in God's name was going on with that camera angle, and what's with the person taking so much damage? Now, they were fighting a lot of grunts, and I think I'm very interested to actually see like the base game and the full thing, because I feel like the boss fights is kind of where it's at, and the game is going for this like larger than life thing, and I think at a lot of moments it captures it, like when you're walking up and before you like shoot the cannon and when you're planting the flag and stuff, you see this massive army, and we've seen in past gameplay, like I think the opening of the game, right, which that gameplay has been shown off before, there's like big army fights in this game, and I think that's a point of like, they want to gloat about that. They want to show that off, and when there's a lot of enemies on screen and stuff, and that's great. I think that gives you this like larger than life type game. The issue, at least with this gameplay, the camera is atrocious. There was no lock on, especially even with the boss at the end. The boss would charge you, and half the time the camera wasn't even facing the boss, and then the enemies in the middle of the gameplay, they would attack you, and the amount of damage that this guy took was insane. Now, I will say, okay, trying to watch these things, and we watch quite a bit of these type of gameplay snippets on the channel. Sometimes you're trying to do a specific thing, and what I feel, this is just a theory, I think they were trying to go for something. Like, you saw the elemental attacks, right? Like, you saw the ice thing. Every time they would do that charged up sword thing, that kind of like almost Tanjiro thing in Demon Slayer, where it would be this like somersaulting like blade flip thing, if you notice, they do it like 4 times. Each time you get hit, like every single time an enemy will hit you as you're doing that attack. And there's even that one moment when it's dark where you do like the ice attack, then they change to thunder and they do the thunder, and then they like shoot an arrow and it kind of calls like a firestorm down. And look, here's the thing, pro con. Pro, it looks flippin' awesome, okay? It looks really, really cool, and you could see that, I think, being a lot of fun to actually control yourself. The issue is at what cost? To me, it seemed like the cost was the camera and letting yourself be hit like 1,000 times, which doesn't seem like a lot of fun to me. But they took, I don't know, that just seemed off to me, and I don't really feel like we've seen that in the last couple times we've seen this game. Just some really wonky, like, moving this guy around. I mean, look, like, the flight thing continues to look cool. Towards the end, they were, like, using that grapple hook thing. That looks awesome. The traversal, honestly, kind of looks better than ever before in terms of the movements of him gliding and kind of chaining that together with, again, being able to like pick a side of a rock and shoot your, whatever it is, anchor kind of at it, right? And then you like half climb up a wall. I think that looks great. I think the combat in a lot of ways looks really good. A lot of like the moves being chained together, whether it's the boss boss or the grunts. I think all of that stuff does look good, and it seems like it's fun to like do whatever they're doing, like square, 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 triangle, whatever the combination might be. The issue to me is just, I would say the one thing I take away from this in a negative is I am worried about like the minute to minute, like the grunt kind of fights, because like specifically how it looked here, I'm gonna need that camera to be a little bit more stationed, and I'm gonna need it to be less bouncy. I know this game has always been like that. Like the game, it really, it feels, I don't know if that's even the right term, right? But hopefully you guys get it. Like these kind of like large jumps that the character will make, or bouncing from one character to the next, almost like a weird modification of like Batman Arkham, right? Where like you're attacking a person 30 feet away, but you're keeping the combo going so you can do it. This game feels like it has some of that, and it actually, it might, because again, like you're charging up your attack and they're hitting you, but that doesn't stop your charged attack. A lot of games, if you get hit, it'll stop that charge, but in this game it doesn't, right? So like it does look like it can be fun. I'm just, at this point, I'm gonna need a little bit more of like, okay, show me like a group of 6 enemies and then take them out, and just show me that a couple times, just so I'm sure like that's gonna be fun. What I will say though, the diversity is there. Like you're shooting the cannon, you're doing the flag thing, you're taking out the boss, you're taking out just groups of enemies. Like I think the game can be very well varied, in your objectives. It's just, again, I mean, I would say that is a major pro. It's not a major con to kind of even it out. It's more of just like a smaller thing, but they cut a lot, if you notice, like as you're watching this, right? They'll do a cool actiony, fight move, right? Sword strike, and then they'll cut. And then it's like, okay, so what happened in those 20 seconds? Is that fun to take out those enemies? To be honest with you, that boss fight where the person was just getting obliterated, they do that, like they hit them with a pillar, right? And the character loses like half its health. And then if you notice, it cuts, and all of a sudden the character is at like no health. So it's like, okay, is the point between half and no health, is that fun? Because it didn't really look all that fun the first half of that fight. So just honestly, just a little bit of cautious, optimism, or just caution in general. I've always been a fan of this game ever since it's been on my radar. I still am. I want this game. But what I will say, okay, to end this video too, is like, people get upset with the delay and stuff. And yeah, I mean, like I want it as soon as possible. But I feel like polish is, whether it's the camera work, you can even see small things here. You know what I mean? I think even when they go up the hill to that army before they shoot the cannon, pretty sure half that army pops up as you're walking. So it's like the game is still, I don't think, in an amazing shape. I think there's a lot of optimization to do, and maybe they take some constructive criticism with this. Like, hey, can you go back in and make the characters basically talk a little faster? Like from one sentence to the next, can you have that flow? Can you work on the camera? You can always tinker with the camera, right? You can do that till the day before the game comes out. The game's not done, okay? The game's not done. There's more work to do, and pretending like it's all like perfect, I feel like that would be a disservice, because they can still work on it and make it better. So it's looking good, but there are now almost new concerns with this game that I feel like I didn't have before I watched this game play. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.